how to get a business loan with collateral up to 5 million plus fast without a minimum credit score. Plus, get the best terms and rates out there, bar none. You're going to want to stick with me until the very end of this video to find out what that program is and what it is all about. But before I get started, my name is Michael from Viral Funding Solutions, and no further introduction. Let's start off with going through what are the types of collateral you can offer up. Perhaps you've gone through a bank and you already know this, or you don't and you're preparing to do that. Or perhaps you don't get qualified, they turn you down, which, listen, it's a very common thing. Over 80% of small businesses, they get shut down. So this other side of the equation you may not have heard of, or you're starting to get more familiar with, or you've heard me come out with this type of content already time and time again, it's out there for you to get through private lenders and other alternative options. So you have equipment to give up, real estate, high value property, a lot of the times these investments, equity out of it. You have inventory. There are forms of accounts receivable, financing unpaid invoices, and that list goes on and on. But those are the primary ones to look at. And depending on your business, the nature of it, the amount of assets basically is what they're looking at that you're offering up as collateral. And if it's sufficient enough, they can take it. And if it isn't, they won't want any part of it, or they'll look at another part and they'll say, hey, what is the market telling us with this piece of equipment? They don't have real estate, but we have this equipment. We have multiple ones. But in 2 years from now, that piece of equipment is going to depreciate, or it's already on its way there, or it's going up, so we can't take it. But you don't have to actually offer up your house and going through the bank. There are these alternative options. And if you want to have more complete control of how much collateral you give up, please listen very carefully. So transitioning away from the types of collateral that you can offer up traditionally to get the funding, and as much as you offer up is as much as you'll get in that loan. So equivalent, if not to a little bit less, is what you're giving up. And in a lot of cases, it's a lot more than just the collateral. And you have to meet the actual funding details of the credit, the revenue, the time in business, your industry specific, bank statements, tax returns, and so forth. And still a lot of people get shut down going through this scrutinized process of trying to get the best funding available for them. So just know there are a lot of options. I put a few notes here on my notepad. That's why I'm turning over here to make sure just that I cover each little segment that I have going on and I don't miss a little bit of the details in it. So now, what would be this collateralized option where you can get the best terms and rates available, where you don't have to offer up equipment? It's not real estate, equity, high commercial, rent, real estate investments, properties, the inventory of so much of this, and other forms of assets-based lending. Which one? Now, that is called accounts receivables. And accounts receivable financing, let me turn this over here, is where you can turn your receivables, your unpaid invoices, into cash without it having to alert your customers. You can get the lowest rates in the industry, prime rates plus 2%, or from prime rate to 2 to 6% or so. You get larger amounts, longer terms, fill customers' orders, cover your gaps between payments, business growth, expansion, and more. I'll be covering that right now. So let me transition over to this document, and all of this will be down below in the description for you to go ahead and get started, by the way. And if you would like help and you have not come through this questionnaire form, then you can complete this questionnaire to get a personalized and customized email response for your best funding option and options. Plus, you will get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding much faster. So if you come over here and you fill this out, then it should be done in less than 30 seconds if you have everything there. And it'll land in my email inbox, where then I will analyze, evaluate it, and give you a proper response back on what your best funding option and options are. Now, there are more services that I offer. I just put a handful of them, the key benefits, and it'll look like this more or less. It could change over time, but it could be a collateralized option, but you could also see an uncollateralized option. You'd be like, oh, yeah, let's go with that. Maybe it's more of a medium to higher rate, but I can afford this. And I'll be doubling, tripling, quadrupling my bottom line, my profits in the short and even in the long term. And so it would make more sense for me not to offer up accounts receivables, these unpaid invoices. Instead, let's look at a cash advance. Let's look at an unsecured term loan option, an unsecured line of credit, and we can try to approach it from that point of view. But this would get you right in the lowest rates in the best terms out there. All the collateralized assets-based lending products that I've helped people with, that I've seen, that I've been through, is accounts receivable financing. AR lines of credit is usually in the form that it comes in. So if you didn't know what that accounts receivable financing option is, you can use your unpaid invoices as collateral and then give them to a lender through this factoring company in exchange for the capital you need. This may involve invoice factoring, which is the purchase of receivables for cash flow. So think about it. If you're covering cash flow gaps, that meaning your customers aren't paying you in an allotted amount of time. You may be receiving payments later on, and then you collect that. So you may be able to cover those cash flow gaps in between that time when you're getting paid. So after selling your invoice or book of receivables, the factoring company is responsible for receiving payment, taking this completely off your own plate. So you don't have to be worried and drowned in all of this excessive amount of stuff that you are just dwelling over and feeling stressed about. By selling your invoices to a lender, you can get the capital you need to pursue new opportunities or manage your cash flow and payroll right away. Because the invoice itself, it functions as collateral. You won't have to put up assets or real estate to get this type of funding. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to give you complete control. ILON was offering up some type of collateral. This gives you more, and other forms of financing that are asking you, hey, you don't have enough. We're going to have to actually take some commercial real estate property or this, go through this land and evaluate it, go through an appraisal is what will happen. And that takes time. And by the time you get a response back, you may not even get approved for. So you have to be very careful of it and understand what you're getting yourself into. And if you don't want to offer that type of equity, you don't have sufficient enough, the collateral you work so hard for to have that piece of equipment, but you have accounts receivable financing you can go through, this is the way to go. And this is what I strongly recommend you do. Excuse me, sorry, my knee was itchy. So you won't have to put up assets or real estate to get this type of funding. What do you need to qualify? 6+ months of business. A lot of time it's 1+ year that is required. 40,000 in monthly receivables and or 100,000 in open receivables on 30 to 60-day terms. 1 million in annual sales is what you'll need. And no minimum credit score is required because this is a collateralized option. And if you meet the revenue requirements, the time in business, there's no need for a minimum credit score. So benefits: sell or one or several invoices, get funded immediately, manage your cash flow gaps, and I'll cover a little bit more what you can use it towards. Revolving line of credit. So once you pay off, it goes back into the revolving line, comes back into the original amount you started off with. So it's a huge advantage. Facility size, 250,000 and no cap. Line of credit fluctuates as the AR, which is short for accounts receivable, fluctuates up and down. So you can see how that would come up, that would go down depending on your accounts receivables and how you're doing in your business overall moving forward as well. So rates starting at prime, which at a time was like about 3.5, now it's looking at 4%. And the interest can change over time. So you may be watching this and it may be different, maybe higher, maybe less, but plus 2%, sometimes 2 to 6%, depending on the risk, depending on your industry, depending on your financials, depending on more so the bank statements, cash flow, and we're looking at it from that point of view. And I'll get into what we'll need going forward. So 4 to 7 days application to funding. So I wouldn't say it is always the fastest, but within a week you can get funded. Just imagine giving up these unpaid invoices as collateral, however much you need. I'll be getting into a little bit about how much you can get up to. And you finally get the funding in less time than going through a bank, than going through these other collateralized options, than going through another form of financing that you may not find attractive to your certain situation. So you get funded, it's already all in the account. You look at it, your eyes just glow, they light up. Not because you just see it in the account, but because you've been thinking about this for a while. You know that once it's in there, you know you can go and apply this, and you know how you're going to use this. You're going to be possibly using it for multiple purposes. And as you're seeing it being distributed in each part of your business, you're starting to immediately see the return on your investments within days, possibly weeks, months roll by, even years. And you're like, oh, more is coming in my business. My bottom line is going up, all because I was able to give up unpaid invoices at this rates at these terms. Wow, that is a bargain. And now you're able to take some time off and away from your business. You're already in that building, growing, expanding, getting yourself out of that tight pinch. And you can spend more time outside of it, relaxing, not having the stress accumulating day after day, going to bed at night, waking up in the morning, not unsure of yourself and what your business will bring, and continuing to try to fight your way through with friends and family. You show this attitude even though you don't want to, even though you're not that person, and so forth. So more details, funding amounts from 10,000 to 5 million plus, flexible terms, 6 months to 10 years. We can potentially lend up to 95% on your aging receivables. Let me put this here. Yeah. Aging receivables, excuse me there. So think about that on your aging receivables, and we will look at that and make a determination of it and see how much we can lend you up to. So if you're wanting about $1 million, we can get you up to 95% of those on aging receivables. And if not aging, we also look at that and we can get you as much as well, which is amazing. And there are like lender fees, little stuff like that. That takes a little bit away, possibly a couple $400, 2% fee there. So, however, you're still getting a load of it, and you're getting as much as possible at lower rates and lower terms, and longer terms. So, documents needed to get started, complete application. There's a digital one as well as a physical hard copy PDF. PDF version, but the digital one is the best one. It suffices. That's what I recommend you do. It's very streamlined, safe, and secure process. You can usually upload bank statements on there. If not, it can be asked for myself. But a lot of it you can go through the digital process, and I can see a lot of this stuff happening on the back end. So 6 months of recent business bank statements, cash flow. We need to understand every daily bank balance, the amount of deposits, starting, ending, credit, debts, debits, transactions, all the stuff that I looked through myself as well. Most recent business tax return, 2021 and year-to-date balance sheet and income statement, aging AR report as well would be very helpful to have there is what we would look at. So let me come back to this page here and I'll quickly flow through it, but everything will be down below in the description for you to go ahead and get started. So let me move down here. Flexible terms, 6 months to 10 years. Just think about that. How much time would you get if you offered other type of collateral? Sure, you could get as much, but you're not having complete control. Well, you just gave up. You're like, well, I have these receivables. Even if you don't, that's okay. You can go the other way. But preferably, we want accounts receivables a lot of the times, and it's going to help you the best. So 6 months to 10 years, that's amazing. I know they're not 30 years, 5 to 25 years like SBA 7A loans, but not a lot of people qualify for those. SBA 7A loans, you would have to go through a lot of hurdles. Like, trust me, I have a lot of people come through who do not get approved for. And we have a hybrid SBA loan here too, where we can get you approved for other types of financing. In the meantime, see if you can get you approved for an SBA loan. So in the meantime, if you can take that, or if you need it all at once, okay, you may not be able to get a little bit here and then all of it later on. But everybody has a different situation. But 6 months to 10 years, as fast as 5 days, 4 to 7 days or so, usually the average. So how can you use it for business growth, buying new equipment or inventory, hire new staff, or prepare for seasonal changes? Look, this is a great way if you're looking at getting equipment for your trucking business, construction, whichever one you're in. There are so many. I've helped out individuals of all types of businesses. A lot of them may not want to go the traditional equipment financing route. You may not be thinking, I want these 1 to 5 year terms. I want actually like 7 years, or I want, maybe I do want it between that time. It still could be a lower interest, but I don't want to have to lease to own and then own the equipment that way. But think about how you're approaching it. You can use this even in other formats of financing, like getting a cash out advance, an unsecured business term loan, a line of credit, secured or unsecured. You can use that towards equipment. You can use things towards inventory, hire new staff, or prepare for seasonal changes. Business expenses, bridge cash flow gaps between customer payments to cover your payroll, your vendor bills, and any other expenses that you may have. Business opportunities, you can expand or open a second location, take on more clients, or capitalize on bulk order discounts. And why it's different going through here than going through the bank: 2 to 3 years tax returns. Here with National Business Capital, it's 3 months bank statements, no tax returns are required in some cases with certain types of services. And some services, like you're seeing here, you may be having to supply that as we go over back into this year, 2021 year to date, most recent back business tax. So it depends on the type of financing product you go through. But right here, we can get you the best lender through factoring, through accounts receivables, get you the best offer. We can go and shop for you, which is what I strongly recommend you do. And you shouldn't just have to always go through one spot. You want to be able to be given the best people out there in accounts receivable who can help you with the best companies and the best lenders. And in the back end, I'm always helping you out along the way. Application through banks, lengthy, paper intensive, direct lenders, multi-page paper application, 1 page, 1 minute DocuSign with National Business Capital. You can see the differences there. I'm going to quickly just skim through this, but you can see it. You can even come back to it and learn more about it. Soft pull, hard pull on the other one, no minimum FICO, 680 banks, 600 on the other ones, and time to funding, and so much more. And why choose us here for your AR funding? As the #1 fintech marketplace offering small business loans and services, harnessing the power of smart technologies. What we have and even smarter, we streamlined the approval process to secure over $1 billion in financing to small business owners to date. And you get experts, advisors, a business loan broker like myself / agent, and so forth, who I represent as a National Business Capital as an agent / business loan broker on the side, not directly self-employed through them. But again, like I said, broker who's been representing a lot of lenders and a lot of companies and so forth. I can very much help you along the way and see what the best solution is out there for you. So just to recap how to get another video over here. Here, let me move this over. Let's correct this. Boom. Yeah, so I kind of use sometimes the same similar template for other parts, or sometimes I have different documents, but you saw a little bit different there. To start on the title, but you got to see what accounts receivable financing can do for your business, how the power behind it, how fast you can get financing, turn your IOUs into cash. You can manage cash flow gaps for business growth and expansion, open up a second location. I have business owners come to me for this, and they have all those reasons. They have multiple ones, or they might just have one and they use it for that. But you can get the best terms and rates, as we saw, 6 months to 10 years plus. Rates, prime rates, 4% plus 2% right now. Or 4% to 2% to 2 to 6%, and sometimes it can be in the single / early teens, depending on the risk of the profile. So that'll cover everything for me in this video. Look down below for the accounts receivable financing. You can get started. If we were to go there and check this out, let me show you what it would look like in a sense. There will be a digital online application process. So you can do something like explore my options, but it might not look this way. I may have an application for you to, so it'll kind of look like this more or less to get started with. And it is very safe and secure, or there will be another page you'll come to and I'll link you to. So you click there and then you can go ahead and get started with your application process. It's hassle-free. And get matched with the right lender, larger amounts, lower rates, longer term, speed, simplicity, professional, soft credit pull doesn't affect your credit. For every client we fund, we donate to 10 meals to Feeding America. So that's an advantage there. And then on Trustpilot, you can see the 5-point rating and over 1,000 reviews. So any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to voice them for me down below in the description, and you can see their AR line of credit. And if you feel like you got value out of this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you feel others will get value out of it, please share it with them. It can be a complete stranger, friends, family members. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so and click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I will be coming out with. That is everything for now. Talk to you soon.